The Magical Pencil, a story about imagination. The sun had just set, and the sky was painted in hues of purple and pink. The chirping of the crickets filled the air as Lucy sat at her desk, staring blankly at her homework. She was supposed to write a story for her English class, but her mind was blank. Lucy's eyes wandered to the pencil on her desk. It was an ordinary pencil, nothing special about it. She picked it up and began to doodle. First, a flower, then a tree, and then a house. But as she drew, something strange began to happen. The tree grew taller, and the house had a chimney with smoke billowing out of it. Lucy's eyes widened in amazement as she realized what was happening. She held the pencil tighter and began to draw faster. Soon, an entire world had formed on the page before her. She drew a castle, a dragon, and even a princess. "Wow," Lucy whispered in awe. "This is amazing." As she looked closer, she saw that the princess had a sad expression on her face. Lucy wondered why and decided to give her a happy ending. She drew a prince who came to rescue the princess, and they lived happily ever after. Lucy smiled at her creation and put the pencil down. As she turned away, the world on the page began to glow. The next thing she knew, she was falling through a tunnel of swirling colours. When she finally landed, she found herself standing in the middle of the castle she had drawn. The dragon was flying overhead, and the princess and prince were holding hands and smiling at her. "Hello," Lucy said, feeling a bit shy. "Welcome to our kingdom," the princess said. "My name is Princess Isabella, and this is Prince William. We've been waiting for you." "For me?" Lucy asked, confused. "Yes," the prince said. "You're the one who created this world. You're our saviour." Lucy's heart began to race as she realised what they meant. She had created a world, and now it was up to her to save it. "But how?" she asked. "With your imagination," the dragon said, landing on the ground next to them. "The pencil you used to create this world is magical. It has the power to bring anything you imagine to life." Lucy looked at the pencil in her hand, and it began to glow. She closed her eyes and concentrated, imagining a shield to protect the kingdom from harm. When she opened her eyes, the shield was floating in front of her. "That's amazing," Princess Isabella said, looking at the shield in wonder. Lucy smiled and began to imagine other things. A sword for the prince, a magical flower that could heal any wound, and a fleet of unicorns to ride into battle. The group spent the next few hours imagining and creating. They laughed, played, and explored the magical kingdom. But as the night began to fall, they heard a loud roar coming from the distance. "It's the evil sorcerer," the dragon said, his voice trembling with fear. "He's coming to destroy the kingdom." Lucy's heart began to race. She knew she had to protect the kingdom and everyone in it. "Everyone, grab a weapon," she said, handing out swords and shields. "We're going to defend this kingdom with everything we've got." The group prepared for battle as the sorcerer's army approached. They could hear the clanking of armour and the pounding of horses' hooves. Lucy's hands shook as she raised her shield. She had never fought in a battle before, but she knew she had to be brave. She looked at the dragon and saw the fear in his eyes. She knew he was counting on her to lead them to victory. "Follow my lead," Lucy said, trying to sound confident. "We can do this." With a battle cry, the sorcerer's army charged towards them. Lucy and her friends met them head on. Swords clashed and shields blocked arrows as they fought for their lives. Lucy swung her sword with all her might, taking down anyone who came near her. The prince and princess fought bravely by her side, and the dragon breathed fire, scorching anyone who tried to get past him. But the sorcerer himself was nowhere to be found. Lucy knew he was the one they had to defeat to win the battle. "Where is he?" Lucy shouted over the chaos of battle. Suddenly, a dark figure appeared on the other side of the field. It was the sorcerer, and he was holding a staff that glowed with an eerie light. "Come out and fight like a man," the prince shouted, his sword at the ready. The sorcerer laughed and waved his staff, and suddenly the ground shook beneath their feet. Lucy stumbled, and the shield she was holding fell from her hands. "What's happening?" Princess Isabella cried. "He's using his magic to create earthquakes," the dragon said, his voice shaking. Lucy looked around at her friends, and they all seemed scared. She knew she had to do something to stop the sorcerer. "Keep fighting!" she shouted. "I have an idea!" Lucy concentrated and imagined a giant boulder rolling towards the sorcerer. She drew it with her pencil, and it appeared on the battlefield. She gave it a nudge, and it began to roll towards the sorcerer. The sorcerer saw it coming and tried to dodge, but it was too late. The boulder hit him, and he fell to the ground, unconscious. The battle stopped, and the sorcerer's army retreated. Lucy and her friends had won. They cheered and hugged each other, happy to be alive. The dragon breathed fire into the air, celebrating their victory. "Thank you, Lucy," Princess Isabella said, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You saved our kingdom." Lucy smiled and looked at her pencil. It was still glowing, but now it was fainter than before. "We should go," the dragon said. "This world won't exist for long. It's time to go back to the real world." Lucy nodded and closed her eyes. When she opened them, she was back in her bedroom, her pencil on the desk in front of her. She looked at the page she had been drawing on and saw the world she had created. It was fading away, but she could still see the castle, the prince, the princess, and the dragon. Lucy smiled, knowing that she could visit that world any time she wanted, as long as she had her imagination and her magical pencil. Lucy picked up her pencil and stared at it for a moment, marveling at the power it held. She wondered what other worlds she could create with it. Just then, her mum called from the kitchen. "Lucy, it's time for dinner?" Lucy sighed and put the pencil back on her desk. She didn't want to leave her imaginary world just yet, but she knew she had to eat. As she walked down the hallway, she heard a faint humming sound. It grew louder as she approached the living room, and she realized it was coming from the TV. Curious, she peeked in and saw that her mum was watching a documentary about ancient Egypt. Lucy had always been fascinated by Egypt, and she couldn't resist sitting down to watch. For the next hour, Lucy learned about pharaohs, pyramids, and mummies. She felt like she was being transported back in time, just like she had in her imaginary world. When the documentary ended, Lucy went back to her room and picked up her pencil again. She started to draw a pyramid, imagining herself exploring the secret chambers inside. But as she drew, she noticed that her pencil wasn't glowing anymore. She tried to draw something else, but nothing appeared on the paper. Lucy felt a pang of disappointment. Had she used up all the magic in her pencil? Would she never be able to create another imaginary world again? Suddenly, she heard a knock at the door. It was her best friend, Mia. "Hey, Lucy, want to come over and watch a movie?" Mia asked. Lucy hesitated. She was still feeling down about her pencil. "I don't know," Lucy said. "I was kind of in the middle of something." Mia noticed the pencil in Lucy's hand. "What are you drawing?" Lucy showed her the blank paper. "Nothing, I guess. My pencil ran out of magic." Mia frowned. "That's too bad, but we can still have fun without it. Come on, let's go." Lucy sighed and put the pencil down. Maybe Maya was right. Maybe she didn't need the pencil to have fun. They went to Maya's house and watched a silly comedy. They laughed so hard that Lucy forgot all about her pencil and her imaginary world. As they were leaving, Mia said, "Thanks for coming over, Lucy. You always know how to cheer me up." Lucy smiled. She realized that she didn't need a magical pencil to make her happy. She had her friends, and that was all she needed. When Lucy got home, she went to her room and picked up her pencil again. She looked at it for a moment, wondering if there was any magic left in it. To her surprise, the tip began to glow once again. Lucy smiled, feeling the magic returning. She started to draw again, but this time she drew something different. She drew a group of friends laughing and having fun together. Lucy realized that her pencil wasn't just for creating imaginary worlds. It was also for capturing real moments of joy and friendship. As she drew, she felt a warmth in her heart. She knew that no matter where her imagination took her, she would always have her friends by her side.